hype it up because we've got possibly the grandest showdown here in midweek muster number 9. Dumu up against Wham. That's right, the Canadians are back, looking to get on top, but to get into a grand finals like Wham always does, he has to push past Benny Boy first. Be already waiting for a showdown in the BO7 against one of these two. Ladies and gents, welcome back to midweek muster. English versus Chinese to open this up. Comfort picks for both players. We know Wham loves these 2TC English late game plays, but we also know that Dumu, he's loved the Chinese. He loved comfortably playing these for a very long time. Always a formidable foe when he gets his hands on these. Rocky River to open us up, and we have got proxy racks in the center of the map from Wham. Okay, that is unexpected. I'm a little bit shocked by this. Is this going to be an outpost rush follow-up? Quite possibly here. Men-at-Arms is going to be coming out. And this is very different. Like, we've seen the English Men-at-Arms opening before, but we haven't really seen proxy racks rush. The problem, however, and Wham doesn't know this, is that Dumu saw him. He knows about the play, so he has options. He can either go for a racks play or go for an outpost, or, hear me out, the craziest option of all, because you're China and have taxmen, ignore it entirely. Yeah, he pulls 2 more across the gold. That's very smart. Because if Dumu didn't have the extra 2 on the gold, he wouldn't be able to get enough for the Imperial Academy and an Imperial Official, which would be damning in this matchup, because it's a no Imperial Official opening. That's sick, man. That scout changed everything about this opening. I don't think Wham's going to get enough out of this. The villager also ends up walking home, which just makes it feel worse. I'm glad he didn't walk the villager across, because if he had this villager standing here and saw 4 on gold, he'd just feel like he's a mile behind. So instead, makes the most of it. We're actually going to get a dock drop from the English, a very rare sight on Rocky River in general, even more so from this Civ. Wow. Very different opening. I mean, credit to him, Wham is turning what feels like a failed play into a recovery up, but that's even more wild. What? Okay, so I guess Ben wants to keep his options open. If he wants to go pro scouts, in fairness, if you want to go pro scouts, then you can't go pro scouts efficiently without more gold. But by building Barbican, you don't have any Imperial officials. Right? So, like, you have a terrible economy at this stage of the game. I mean, terrible subjectively, right? Terrible by Chinese standards, but by any other Civ standards, you are just a normal Civ. 22 sheep is at least going to allow him to delay needing to, rely on pro scouts. So I am really surprised by this. Because you could have still built the Barbican later, right? Like, you didn't have to rush it here. I mean, in fairness, I can kind of see where it's coming from. The fact that you've got, like, double gold here, right? Like, he's worried about an outpost rush, longbow follow-up. At least things blocking him out. So this means that Wham should be going for Abbey of Kings now. I don't think Council Hall makes any sense. That's crazy, though. I mean, the thing we have to keep in mind, we see this as an overreaction because we see the entire map, and we see that Wham went fishing. For Dumu, this is not an overreaction because he's anticipating a fast tech up and then Lombos to ruin the game, right? And if there's an outpost being dropped here, he won't get rid of it quick enough. So, like, although it looks really inefficient from Dumu, and it feels like he's maybe throwing a lead position, his point of view is that if he doesn't do this, the game is over. Wait, have I got people networking my chat? That's incredible. He might go Song afterwards? Yeah, you need to. Like, he has no taxmen, so he's definitely going Song. But, like, the optimal situation here was to build with 1 villager on the Barbican, and then you build Imperial Official almost straight afterwards. He couldn't do that because it's too risky. If Lombos are coming, he's dead doing that play, right? Which is why he pulled 3 for the Barbican. Pulling 3 in return. Wham has got the Abbey of Kings now on the way. This is 2TC, though. Yeah, you can already see the stone gathering, but it looks like he was shy of the wood needed. So he's going to fix that now. Interesting. I mean, Dumu can still go fast castle. I don't think you have to focus on pro scouts. Considering he's got 7 on gold, though, there's no denying it, right? This is Imperial Official, pro scouts, go. Which I think for Wham is kind of an advantage, right? Like, with him already having fishing to pad him. And the time on the second TSC, like, this isn't too bad. Dumu's goal should be pro scouts into fast castle here with knights to follow up. So Wham is going to have to be quite defensive. He has a similar issue on gold, but for 2TC play, this is actually a good thing You can easily just drop a TC here, secures your tree line, secures your gold. Easy life. What's best Mongol strategy? Just outpost rush. Nah, I'm kidding. I mean, like, that is such a broad question. It's not as simple as just saying this strategy is best for Mongols, right? We've seen games where, like, Fast Imperial is best. We've seen games where, you know, going, like, Mass Ketchix is best, trade, etc. My advice to you is just win, yeah. Chat gets it. How to get conk free? Buy an account. Now, no, don't do that. How to get conk free? Like, I mean, once again, that's a bloody broad question. My advice in general to people who want to get the conk rank is actually commit to a civ. Stop pussyfooting between 5 different civs, thinking that you're going to be like the next BC Cutie and play every civ really well. Focus on getting one right so that you can understand the fundamentals that make AoE 4 playable at the highest level. Because until you understand the core mechanics and the core baseline on how to play AoE 4, your civ isn't going to matter as much as you think. Wow, second TC on the deer. Okay, so he didn't even go for the gold secure, but in a way he did, right? Like, this is a front blocker, and it gives even more protection on the tree line that we talked about. Core and Corvinus have both been one tricks for a long time. I mean, Core was like a 2 to 3 trick for quite a while, and then Corvinus was like Delhi, but I don't know if... With some players, like, I don't know if one trick is the right word as much as they played one civ really well. I guess you could argue that, like, Baltoon was a French one trick, right? Sorry, Baltoon. Baltoon's just sitting here, like, chilling. He's like, why am I catching strays? You know why, you filthy team player. So, Horseman coming out. Demi most definitely going towards that Pro Scouts, and it just came in so quick due to the supervision. His build does feel kind of hampered by the order he had to do things here. Getting a villager kill is definitely a nice way of making things feel better. That's kind of surprising, right? Like, I'm not sure why Wham kept the villager out here. Was he intending to make a proxy base? The king is at least in, but scouts are already pulling back the goodies. And you have to remember, this king has, like, lower damage than a standard knight, so he won't kill as quickly. So Dumi is at least going to get the initial back. We do have double archer range. Remember, he already went Song Dynasty, so there is potential here for Zhug all in. I thought maybe Dumi would just want the fast castle, but probably scouted. Yeah, he saw the second TC and is now realizing that there's actually a kill point here. Wham hasn't gone for that safe positioning that gives a good white tower, right? Like, the reason I thought we see the TC here is you can white tower right next to the Abbey of Kings, and then that protects farms. Now, if Wham wants to drop a white tower, he's going to have to either forfeit his main base or the second TC. King is at least going to spot it early. Awkward part is just with the Imperial officials, you can just ramp this number so fast. We should be seeing Blacksmith dropped in probably about the next 30 seconds from Ben. And then pushing the center that can easily deny fish and then ripple into the TC. I think that's the weird part about Wham's strategy here is like going dock into TC. You've double dipped a bit too much, right? You're that person who like stuck their finger in the delicious pie and then at that point, old grandma's looking at the pie going, who just fingered my pie? And then they just see you go in again. And I also just realized how wrong that sounded when I said it out loud. But the whole point is like you've basically taken the greed to the extreme. So Dumu, now chunking up the Zhuganu, needs to push fast. Instead, he's getting distracted by that king. Wham! Where are we putting this white tower? It has to be here, right? Or do you just go for the gold? I guess you just forfeit your primary TC area. Because this is what you need, right? Gold and farmland. Yeah, there you go. Wham agrees. So white tower coming down. That's going to give you trees, gold, and then you just build the farms out here. And why do you get away with that? Because we've got enough garrison spots in this ridiculous building. Room for 20, baby. And yeah, like, this is not a fair measurement on what is better, like 2 TC or Pro Scouts, because Dumu's Pro Scout timing was really, really ruined by the Barbican first. He got screwed over hard. Like, imagine you're playing China, and you're so confident you can get an Imperial official with Imp Academy, you don't even think about the possibility of needing to build Barbican first. It's so rare that we see Barbican coming out first. Dimmu, he's getting ready for that castle transition, though. Pretty impressive just how many you can get out while getting ready for castle, right? Like, he's not that far behind. In any sense of the word, right? Like, you know, you have to remember Song is padding him here as well. So right now it's 43 villagers versus 46. Not exactly the grand old advantage you're looking for is English. That's me, Zhug. I mean, Dimmu has to be contemplating veterancy. Needs to add in some spearmen. He's going to be able to deal with the forward infrastructure, but of course, Wham already has the knights on the way. Courtesy of stables and the White Tower. Imperial Palace love this choice. You don't really want to go into big Blom army straight away. You're probably going to want to try to raid your opponent, who's going to feel a bit exposed. And while doing that, you don't want to have to worry about his raiders coming in. So this is going to give him all the vision to see these knights coming. Even the positioning, very smart here by Dimmu. He edges it forward a little bit instead of dropping it right next to the gold, so that he doesn't get blocked by his own tree line. He's going to see all the way in front of him in like a 180-degree conal. In fact, watch the minimap and you'll see the vision. Surprise! Oh, wait, that's right. I'm being an idiot. You see through tree lines now, don't you? Yeah, this thing is ridiculous. Wasn't Clock Tower first anymore? Nestabes are weaker. Spirals are kind of redundant against especially night opening. Like, it just, the whole logic as we just highlighted is you just don't have to defend anymore. You can still work back for Clock Tower, right? Like, when Clock Tower becomes useful, when Siege becomes useful, isn't it at the beginning of Castle Age anymore? It's more towards the end and into Imperial. So with that in mind, like, you're a Civ that really benefits a lot from Yuan. Yuan is phenomenal because of the movement speed. So it doesn't hurt you to do Clock Tower second. It actually enables you. Zhug actually doing quite a lot of damage there. The Horseman making that a decent trade. Ram has to be feeling a little bit on the clock, right? Because the difference between Pro Scouts and 2TC here, even with English, those farms, they cost a pretty penny, right? 37 wood each might not sound like a lot, but what's Dimmu paying? Nothing. He's just got deer coming back for days. Zhug now marching out. I'd love to see Dimmu going in for siege engineering. Sometimes you like look at Castle Age and go, why would you ever want Rams here? But 2 Rams onto a secondary TC is death, right? Like, Wham will be forced to defend into mass ranged. And we already see it's not just Zhug anymore. Crossbows now being pushed hard by Dimmu. Knights are going to try and intercept. So actually good read there by Wham. These are the only ones that matter, right? You don't care about the Zhug. You need to find the crossbows. Going to target across onto them. Good chip damage being done. What worries me is that Wham's next unit queued up is not a counter to mass ranged. It's countered by the same unit. He's got men-at-arms transitioning while his opponent is going crossbows. Wham needs his own ranged mass here. He can at least get away with this as well. Remember, the king is going to kiss the boo-boos better. But if Dimmu just targets down the injured, there's no easily getting away from this, right? He's running into the reproduction line. Luckily for him, Dimmu in a bit of panic didn't actually go for that snipe. Most of the knights surviving. And relics now being grabbed by both sides, but Dimmu already with an edge in that department. Yeah, it feels a little bit like Dimmu may have overreacted though, pulling everything back here. We already have Yuan on the way. I actually rate that quite highly. This gives him an all-in push timing. He can mirror the knights quite well. And also, his assumption here, which is a fair assumption, is he should be able to get, what, realistically 3 relics at least? That's pagodas. Doesn't mean he's sacrificing Song Dynasty, so he's going to lose the faster producing TC. I think that's what makes it feel a little bit weird, is like, you're only at 62 economy. But from Dimmu's perspective, if he keeps relying on that, all he's doing is more slowly losing, right? Because your opponent is 2 TC. So the choice was either Dimmu goes 2 town centers with Song, or he leans Yuan and attacks. Weird part to me is he's gathering wood like he's getting ready for a farm transition. Speaking of those farm transitions, Whams is coming along nicely. Already 22 farms deep, soon to be 30. Dimmu with the Yuan activated. Let's look at the movement speed on these guys. Zoom, zoom. And this has been a notable change with the Chinese now with the Pro Scouts, is we're actually seeing Yuan Dynasty a lot quicker in games than we used to. Juji really led the path with that because the pagodas are so good. Well along the flank here. Knights are going to be charging in. We'll be able to get the kill, but need to be careful because the movement speed is not respecting it. He gets caught. No, getting away from that. So 2 knights going down there. That's the nasty reveal. I mean, it's not a huge loss of military in the grand scheme of numbers, but it is in the grand scheme of the game, right? Like, Wham only has 20 military right now. He's still deep in the farm transitional standpoint of the game. Dimu now already having the clock tower nest of bees being produced. Interesting. I mean, Wham is going crossbows, so this would give you the counter. The weird part is Dimu could have actually just done Juke new crossbows with PG and would kind of get a bigger wallop, right? I think Nest of Bees slows your game down quite a bit, which is odd after you go Yuan. It's kind of contradictive to what you want to do. Villagers getting some really weird rally points from the wood lines. We've all been there. Maybe, actually, I think it was because he was building the wall and they built on the wrong side. Army's marching back. Feels like Dimu is wasting a lot of time here. I don't like this. The more he does this, the better it kind of feels for Wham. Now, we talked about the padding, right? Dimu does have 2 more relics on the way home. We have a farm transition, and we do have pagodas. So it's not like Wham is a mile ahead, despite what this count says. But it does almost feel like Wham is getting to live a lot longer than in this game than he ever should. Walls are up for Wham. You guys notice how late in the game Wham done walls this time? A shocker. I never thought I'd see it. This man waiting until after like 12 minutes to wall. Hell must be freezing over. There's a pinch opportunity here. Wham's running the wrong way with the walls being up. I just don't think he realizes it yet. May not have scouted. Yeah. So we'll split up the boys. Go looking for clues. Wham's going Imperial, guys. Yeah, this is... I think Dimu is on the wrong side of the map right now. He's too busy reacting to all these raids. I mean, sure, he's doing a good job of, like, not losing units. Hello? Well, Dimu might be fully aware what's happening. He's saving for Imperial too. And this would be what? A Great Wall Gatehouse over here would be sick. That would be double berry, double gold. That gives you your late game. It's a very ambitious placement, but with Yuan Dynasty on the villages, you can get there quickly. Looks like instead now he's starting to march across the field. Now this could put a dampener on Wham's plan. The plan was Wingard. Wingard to get Wingard Raiders going, because that gives you horsemen to counter this comp. However, with the size of this army, I think anything but Berkshire is death. Oh yeah, and the paranoia is setting in for Wham. Only a handful of cavalry units. You can't just keep raiding like this. Dimu now with 4 Nest of Bees. Starts to move up. Wham, it's going to have to be a Berkshire, probably on the front side here. He goes Wingard. Oh no. So this is problematic, and here's why. Wingard is good if you survive. If Dimu pushes right now, survival is most definitely not guaranteed for Wham. Now, Wham is kind of gambling on the logic that so far Dimu has been reluctant to fully commit. Every time Wham raids, Dimu kind of overreacts, right? He doesn't bring, say, 20 units, he brings 50. So this raid right here, if it gets Dimu to come home to defend, this is all free. Ben is going to start pushing in. Knights are going to be blocked by the spears. Tech up is complete. Dimu, he's going to have to back away. He's not deep enough here. I think he's also paranoid. He doesn't know for sure whether it's a Berkshire. He doesn't want to dive into one. So instead, the safe play is to go into Imperial Age. And it means that Wham is now going to get to pay off with this Wingard. This should be Raiders just pumped non-stop. There you go. Start skewing them up. This is the value of Wingard. In fact, the Canadians were probably the best at revealing this at the start of 2024. The Wingard Raiders option is actually the best option because it has the most application across the game with these faster Imperial builds, right? Because when you go fast in, you just don't have a big army. Well, guess what? Producing 6 cavalry units every 25 seconds resolves that problem. Does need to build some houses, though. enclosures also coming in. We have to remember that Wham got that triple gold spawn in one location, which is enough with enclosures to get later into this game. Dimu will need to find more gold, though. He's going for a Great Wall Gatehouse to protect his farms. The problem is it doesn't gain gold. He only has 920 left on that vein. And then he has to come out into the naked open of the north side. Little wall going up here as well. I'm just going to try to just leak in. She built the wall just to delete it in the end. What? All right, ones if you think Dimu's winning this, twos if you think the Wham's going to take it. We have 2 TC now from Dimu. I'm starting to think his window has passed, right? Like, Wham has a kill point now. Admittedly, if he drags his heels too long, like we are going to be talking about pagoda play, plus granary farms, hyper late game, China looks pretty good there. But one big issue I'm still seeing is they have not secured their veins, right? Like, this is the gold you need to play into post-Imperial. Has at least got reserves. We know Ben loves doing this. He's kind of infamous for stockpiling 2,000 to 3,000 gold when he goes Imperial Age. So you're already seeing all those elite techs coming through. Meanwhile, for Wham, he looks a lot more budgeted. Horsemen, knights are not elited, only the crossbows. I think the walls are all up, right? So Dimu is protected on his economy at least. Key drops coming in from Wham, so he's going to have that long play. He could consider something a bit more lucrative, but usually you don't think hand cannoneers against China because, you know, they do it better, substantially better, in fact. More likely, Wham is going to be trending towards mangoes. That's his eventual goal here, right? Because where China sucks in the late game now, guys, is yes, Yuan is incredible, Palace Guard are incredible, hand cannoneers are phenomenal, but the siege sucks. Mass Nest of Bees is not very good against mass mangoes post-adjustable crossbars. So, if this game drags deep enough, English should be favored for that reason. We also have to remember that when you go into the later game, Rocky River is a very easily wallable, chokeable map. So that actually leans into Wham's favor too. Forcing choke fights is the nightmare for Dimu. You want to try to flood Palace Guard in this late game onto the flanks. Looks like the army was basically waiting on the farms. Massacred the first wave. We'll be able to get the second, so... Not too much work damage being done here by Wham. But it's just containment protocol, right? He's keeping his opponent back with these cheap, fast-produced units. Horsemen and the Knights. While he builds up his premium. Dimu is getting ready for those keep drops north side, so... This will be his transitional point, right? You're going to want to move out for a castle drop on the east side, and then you're going to want to stonewall along these pocket ponds. Now, the reason why I actually decided we should bring back Rocky River is because Rocky River was a bit toxic last time we saw in ladder. You guys might remember, it was leading to overly long games. Late game just felt almost guaranteed on Rocky River because of how easy it was to wall and then stonewall, right? It's a map that felt it was open enough that it should have been like Dry Arabia. In reality, it was a very slow map. With the changes in Season 9 and how much harder walling is, it felt like a perfect time to revisit these type of maps. So while we are going towards Imperial, long wall, long game, I want to say the majority of Rocky Rivers hasn't been that so far. This one is going to, though. Okay, Wham is basically saving up for the winter. I guess it gets cold in the north. And we've got Wingard Rangers. Okay. I'm so here for this. This is the true quality in the hyper late. Footman could have been really good as well against, like, Juganuing, but you don't know your opponent's going to do that. Whereas Rangers are good against Juganu and everything else. However, Dimu is coming in with the press here. Wow, maybe a little bit lacking in terms of his total military blob potential. Horseman Raid is going to get blocked out by a handful of spears there, and the keep is most definitely going up here. Yeah, I don't think the Knights are going to clear this quick enough, so gold secure for the late game. Will be forced to be idled initially. The press is coming in. First Ranger group is in play. Remember, these guys come with a lofty 8-tile range. With the gold now secured, Dimu. I think this should be Palace Guard Flood, maybe Siege as well. There's a window. We talked about adjustable crossbars. It's not coming yet for Wham. And until it is there, the siege really isn't a threat from him. SCB is just slowly sieging their way through the base as well. Gold is about to be targeted. We're already seeing a shuffle down to the south side. That's a lot of raiders coming. Like, you see the issue now for Wham. It's reproduction. We did get military academy from him, right? Yeah, but the problem I'm seeing is, like, he doesn't have that much raw production. He put all of it on the front side. He only has 1 Rax, 3 archery ranges, and 2 stables. Wham is going to die due to a lack of inability to spend. He needs to get more ASAP. The other problem he's running into is a lack of wood, though. He has got that east side he's moved across to. So he should be able to fix this if he can survive long enough. Nestor Piece coming in with a solid shot there. Crossbows will be able to mop up the men-at-arms. Nestor Piece can come in for the cleaner on that backline, so Wham has to retreat away. He still doesn't have an answer for the knobs yet. And you're seeing him hold him hostage as well. The only upside right now for Wham is Dumu's army moves too quick for the siege to catch up with. Footmen are going to get a freebie diving in. Maybe he gets one of the Nestor Bs, but going to cost you more in return. Both of them heavily exhausting themselves on this. Men-at-arms upgrades are coming through from Wham. He's been playing this fight without elite. But speaking of the elite, we have got army tactics now coming in for Dumu. Top of that, incendiary shots has already been there. The problem for Wham right now is a lack of unitex. No biology, no incendiary. So raw DPS check, Dumu should win, but the problem I think I'm seeing here is we talked about the production issue for Wham. Where is Dumu's forward production? It doesn't exist. Wait. The left... Oh, wait, I'm blind. Did he hit here? Did he actually get those gold workers? I think he did. Just noticed the worker kills. All right, I T-towards that. My bad. I got sucked into that pointless fight. Okay, so neck and neck on villages. So, man, like, honestly, I can't believe I'm going to say this. Losing 40 villages is kind of not bad. Right? Like, he had way too many villages. He needs more military. Like, in a weird way, Dumu kind of done him a favor. He's going to go in for it again. I prefer this attack. Like, this was a weird play. Like, we've seen this time and time again. Like, trying to just brute force into the middle. It looked deceptively good, but English are just always obnoxious to dive. It kind of feels like Dumu needed bombards. Keeper's going to get garrison now, so... I'm glad Dumu's finally going bombards. I do wonder if they should have been there much sooner, though. We do have a raid coming the other way. Wham! All right, this is more important of a hit if he can get it. Because, like, Dumu is spending a lot of gold. He's not holding in reserve. But Wham, like, that gold vein wasn't that necessary, right? He's been sitting on 3k gold. His issue remains getting troops out. Fish now coming in. I mean, this could be big. Like, Dumu getting reset here is bad. We've got men-at-arms flood coming. Hand cannon is on the way. Dumu is playing into his own. We even have the serpentine powder. And he has already got the extra range. But surely we're approaching the point where mangoes are going to start coming in soon for Wham. I'm kind of shocked he didn't go to it sooner. Hand cannoneers are at least going to have the attack speed for the English, but they don't have the range advantage here. These fights are getting a bit weird. We do have a raid underneath the keep, so Duma's going to take some losses there. So here's the funny thing for you guys. Losing about 20 workers, much more impactful than losing 40 workers here. We caught the raid that mattered. It's actually crazy that Wham is winning these fights without the techs, by the way. Like, you're seeing EAT on the way. He never got incendiary shot. He never got his hands on biology. Like, he's just raw doing this because English? I do want to see Wham queuing up more of the Wingard boys, though. Like, this is your answer to the hand cannoneers. You get volley, you just kill them before they get in range. I don't know. This game feels like it's tilting against Dimmu. The only advantage he's got right now really is Tex. But with Wham still having access to the gold down here, and obviously having the ridiculousness that is enclosures with 66 farms, he'll get these Unitechs. Oh, already on the way. Going EAT over Incendiary seems weird. Kind of. I think Wham's logic is because he has hand cannoneers, he doesn't really care about Incendiary as much, but now that his opponent is going HC mass, this is where you care more. But that's why I think he went Biology instead, is he's looking for a direct, clear answer. Or maybe he's a bit paranoid that relying too much on the ranges without having tankiness means that you'll get flanked. That would be my thought process on what he's done here. But really, we should be seeing Incendiary next. After that, it's just Silk Bowstrings and an easy clap. Sometimes Silk Bowstrings feels really counterintuitive, by the way. The reason is that if you think about the way a fight proceeds, if we have melee and ranged, by having bowstrings, you're putting your range further away from your melee, aka your DPS further from your tank. Wall's breaking here, wham. Pretty much just taking a chill pool mode. We've got the Louis MT. Now, you'd think that China with Palace Guard would be the ones raiding. In comes the English men-at-arms. Bad position to dive, though, unfortunately for him. The Great Wall Gatehouse is basically Nesta Bees before they became underwhelming. Remember, this thing hits like a truck, and range techs also affect it. So you're seeing that correctly. 16 damage times 16. For reference, a Nesta Bees does 6 times 10. Oh my god, Wham is just becoming Louis MT. I always reference Louis MT in these because he's probably the most obnoxious English player in the late game. All he does is build a million men-at-arms and wins. And like, after going all the way around the clown circus of like crossbows, hand cannoneers, wingard rangers, cavalry, Wham is arriving back at just build men-at-arms. Oh my god, but can we please stop diving them here? This is by far the hardest area to try and breach. And this is why you see people build the Great Wall Gatehouse on the farms. It's a phenomenal defense. One that actually got buffed because when they made the changes with the EAT, they didn't nerf Great Wall Gatehouse. So Great Wall Gatehouse got buffed against infantry blobbing like this. The bees just kind of pushing him forward here. The hand cannon mass is just getting too big. I don't think this wins for Wham. Like, what he needs is time bought for ranger transition. He needs about 40 of them. Right? Like, if he can get to 40, this gets a bit scary for Dimmu. But right now, 33 hand cannoneer. You're just burning food and gold on this. Now, admittedly, you've got infinite food and gold as English, but there's probably better ways to use it, you'd think. And we already have Dimmu prepping for a later phase of the game. Trade coming in now from the Chinese. Means he'll be able to replace any lost hand cannoneers. And no, Wham isn't building proxy. He just ends up with farmers out here. Do I think Wham will go on a date with you? You're a 34-year-old Algerian man. I mean, that depends if you own a yacht. Wham told me he'd do anything to ride on a yacht. Do with that info what you will. Sally forth from the cavalry. We'll be able to find the bombard, but... Okay, so we have Incendiary on the way. Ranger count is only 16, though. And correct me if I'm wrong, but he doesn't have volley. No volley. Eesh. He also... Does he have network of citadels? No network of citadels either. Okay, dude, Wham is just missing way too many key techs here. Meanwhile, Dimmu is flexing his economy so much he's getting cool architects. Wow, I'm just going for the surround as he dives in. I mean, wait, the Nesta bit... Wait, what? Dimu? Wait, was he trying to reach the Rangers? I think he is. It's just so difficult to do. I mean, you have slightly less range than they do. So they can actually just skirt the shots. And Arm's now diving in. Nesta Bees. Not well protected here. He's only got 4 of them. The Ranger's going to dive past it. Numbers aren't lying here. Wham is starting to blow ahead. Arms. There's just not enough Nesta Bees left to take him out. Oh, no. Well, we talked about Dimu having the ability to reblob. But it has its limitations, right? Like, the trade is only now being set up. He's 13 traders deep. This is a good start, but what Wham needs to do now is push. And, oh boy. What did we warn about in the late game? What is the thing that makes China look dog crap when they always look good in late game? There is one thing, one matchup, one situation that is their nightmare. It keeps them up late at night, awake, and not in a good way, just screaming. It's adjustable crossbars, mangoes. Dimu has problems. So what's going to be the solution here? Horseman, but you're into men at arms, right? But Horseman hand cannon doesn't feel terrible, really. You could argue PG does what you need, though, 1.58 movement speed. Well, we thought that Wham in this early mid-game was being a bit whimsical, if you will, but it's starting to feel like it didn't matter now that we're in that hyper late. With English having all the techs they need, the amount of gold left on the map still, right? You have to remember, he's still got, what, I think, about 2.5k? About 2k. But that plus enclosures, like, you can afford to bloat mangoes here. So Dimu really has to outplay him, get the wipe in the fight, and then follow it up. What is happening over here? He really wants that Great Wall Gatehouse gone, doesn't he? The sneaky siege workshops. Raid on the flank in the meantime from Dimu is going to at least get mirrored out. Find the center, though. Keep drop coming in. Dimu should be able to get this one up. Might just get immediately burnt down, though. Lukewarm oil coming out. Okay, Wham has to run away. Remember, like, he's just going to get kited and killed by the hand cannoneers if he tries to torch this. Oh, my dear God. I just realized how late this day of stream is going to be. We're almost 4 hours in. We've only done 1 semi-finals. We're in game 1 of the second one. Well, you guys are definitely going to get your value for entertainment today. Now, before anyone's like, oh yeah, but like enclosures carries games. It's good for Wham if he goes mangoes now. But like hyper, super duper, uber late game, even without the trade, you have to remember that it is 4 relics with 3 of them being pagodas. And also the other interesting thing is like Dimu has 2 sacred sites. That's another 200 gold, right? Right now he actually has 3. So like I wouldn't write this off as like, oh man, China's going to run out of gold. Because on top of all that crap I just said, they also have taxation. Fight over this keep has been ridiculous. It's finally going to be going down. Only 1.2k gold left out of what was originally 12,000 here, though. I just feel like there's not enough rangers coming. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, does he not keep getting pop locked? It feels like it at times, right? Like, I don't think Wham has consistently had ranger production going throughout all these engagements, right? Like, you want to be able to get towards that 30, 35. Feels like usually he's been locked to maybe 25 max. I think it is because of the amount of men at arms that Wham has. They've got siege workshops coming in again, though. Used to be build Raxes, not these days, no. Well, we've been here before, guys. I wouldn't write this game up as about to be over because this is now, what, the 3rd time Dimu's tried to send it to the main? I've got Pascal finding the tree workers, and Wham's economy is feeling quite limited on what and where he could actually gather here. You've got stone walls coming up to secure additional trickles of wood. University going nice. Like, Wham has been very slow on tech. Let's make sure he doesn't get any extra. correct me if I'm wrong, we did get adjustable crossbars, right? And we didn't get siege. I guess the issue for Wham is he can't funnel the map, right? Like, he's struggling to get these walls up. If he ever does, I think then we'd see him try to switch mangoes, but with such open battlefields and going mangoes with 700 gold income, too risky. I can't believe this Sacred Site time is still ticking as well. Dimu could get the weirdest victory, but would need a keep drop that's going to be too late. Walls are coming up from Wham. And hold on a sec. We've got a raid in. So the Knights are going to get blocked out. Trader count was hit down a bit, but it's still at 16. We do, however, for some reason, have villagers trying to sneak siege workshops everywhere. Like, Wham is obsessed with proxy siege at this point. So we'll be able to dive past, but the keep drop, like, it'll remove any real threat here. Like, the reason we're not focusing on these tiny chip raids is, like, it's not enough. When you get this deep in the game, if you're not killing more than, like, 20 workers, it's a shrug, right? Like, you're talking about 2 TC, you're talking about 4 trade marketplaces, right? Like, it's tickle damage. If he was able to do it consistently, very different game, but we're not really seeing that out of Wham. Oh my god, we're just headbutting Nestabes here. Alright, get your predictions in. How long is this game going to be? How deep into the midnight before I get to see my daughter and son again? Arrow volley reset? No, he never got it. He still hasn't got it. Like, I'm kind of shocked at this point he still doesn't. It just means the hand cannons aren't dying anywhere near quick enough. No bowstrings, but I already talked about why I don't really like bowstrings for rangers in this matchup. It's unnecessary. And fair point. Choom, are you in the chat? Can you at the players to make sure they're using blue and red? I think we might just have to start forcing that in the tournaments. It makes more sense. And then arms poking the wall here. I mean, it's just like headbutting the wall consistently. Bowstrings on I'm not saying the bowstrings isn't of some value, but the logic is like when you have bowstrings, depending on where you're fighting, what you end up doing is you discombobulate. So your rangers end up further away from your protection. So like against, for example, Palace Guard or Horsemen, you just die faster. If you're approaching like these walls, then sure. Like where your opponent can't actually weave around you, it can be good. I think he has much bigger problems than bowstrings, though. He's out of gold, man. There's no reserves being held. So these are like the type of games that I wonder, like, does Wham have these type of games and go, what was the point in that? Because like, this has been 45 minutes long. And a lot of this late game has just been him headbutting. Almost like he's been waiting for China to run out of gold. But with trade being there, that's never going to happen. And we have raids again. It's starting to ripple into the farms. Now, we talked about on the other side, it didn't really matter much for Dimu. It matters much here because Wham just doesn't have reserves. So if you idle free farm clusters, the military lead isn't going to exist anymore. And he's shuffling everywhere. We even have a keep drop attempt over on the east side coming in. 1,400 stone to work with, so this could be a big one for Dimu to just block him out. Meanwhile, the push continues into the main. Nesta V's count now up to 7. When you lose your whole hairline, you become the danger. That's true. Dimu, like, before he gets ready for these type of series, he's standing in the bathroom in front of the mirror and he just goes, I've got nothing left to lose! While, like, shining his head with some floor wax. I call that the intimidation shine. It means when you're on land against him, if he finds the right angle, the lighting blinds his opponent. That's why, like, you know, that's why Baltu and Killjoy, all these people can beat him at King of the North. He kept shining his head at them. And a shining beacon in the late game China is going to be here. This feels like we're starting to reach the end, right? The keep drop has come in on the farms. That's going to force huge idle time. Has to migrate with 21 villages, a quarter of his economy. Dimu going to reset in the center here, just to protect the nest of bees. Knights are going to try to punish it, but it's just Clock Tower nest of bees. But let me put that the right way. Clock Tower nest of bees with siege work, so only 234 HP. I mean, that's totally reasonable. It's not. Yeah, I've said, like, nest of bees, it's fair to say Mango's beat nest of bees right now, but, like, the weird asterisk has always been Clock Tower. I still think the Clock Tower buff is what makes siege so obnoxious with China. So this is only the first game. Okay, I want predictions on how long the entire series is going to be. Like, if you're watching live on YouTube later, like whatever, like get your predicties in for how long you think the entirety of the series is going to be. Because game 1 is looking like it's about 50 minutes. Right, Wham is reluctant to GG, but this is close to over. Wood access feels a little bit lacking. He's basically frontlining. He's struggling to actually hold a choke anymore. It's spreading wide. And I mean, this is what China does so well, right? When you get to this stage of the game, it's not about the fact that your Yuan Dynasty, Elite Pass Guard maybe are worse stats than Men at Arms. They have the better stat and the one that matters, and that's movement speed. You just can't be everywhere at once against China. A little bit of counter raid play coming, but nothing remotely comparative. Rewalls pointlessly. I mean, at this stage, it's kind of cute that he's rewalling as if Wham's going to be able to raid again. But I like that Dimu's just covering all bases in case there's risk. But really, like, you know, this is... I feel like this is a statement as old as time itself with China. Less so with the Rangers now in existence, but like has been a bread and butter, a staple of them. When they reach 40 hand cannoneers, just call GG. I think there's better counterplays now than maybe 2 years ago, but it always felt like a classic element of this civ. Once they bloat to 40 and sustain, this just feels like the best army in the world. Wham actually does have 30 rangers for once. Might be about to be had 30 rangers for once. The weird part is, like, you are meant to counter the hand cannons, right? But they can gap close you really fast. So, like, you get baited to use the men at arms, and then, yeah, that happens. Come on, just give him a little tickle. Just one shot. Just one shot. He just wants a taste. A little sip of those bees. To get game 1 done. There we go. GG comes out. A long endeavor here. But Dimu already in the lead. The rising star of Season 9 usually feel like the unbeatable on the rise. But their opponent barely exists. Order of the Dragon coming out in game number 2 from Wham. But this is specifically a counterpick targeted at Juji. Puppy Paw and Wham, I think, both actually done this in the Atacama week where we had that as the default map and proved just how scary this Civ matchup can be for Juji. Let's see how it plays on King of the Hill. Interesting map for it as well. Pro Scouts almost seems guaranteed, but very difficult for Order of the Dragon to mirror into Juji. Juji's pretty solid on this map. You can already see why actually looking at the spawns. Medi Gardens can feel good, right? Like, you know, you've got what, berries here, tree line and stone, or if he doesn't want trees, he can always go for double gold and food, which is pretty nice, and it's not too far away. So usually the play here for Juji is Pro Scouts Fast Castle, right? That's the strategy you're looking at. You can go Lancers. I think Pascal can hit just as well on this map because there's a very linear nature to it. OTD, like, what's their answer going to be against that? Fast Castling feels a little bit hard with Order of the Dragon. You're probably going to want to play a longer age. One good thing is if your opponent does go Pass Guard here, Gilded Archers perform a little bit better than they would in other circumstances, right? Because they have higher base damage and Pass Guard have less ranged armor. We'll see if it goes that way. I wonder if there's maybe an all-in type angle Wham could be looking at here. Likely going to be an Arcan opening, but doesn't feel like you have great options here, right? Gold forward spawn, trees back. Preferably, I think if you're going to be forced Arcan as OTD, you're always looking for that wood and gold situation. Just doesn't really exist in this spawn. I guess you could drop an Arcan out here and buff the gold later. but that's not going to come in the picture for a long time. 2TC looks great. What, for Order the Dragon? That's kind of an interesting idea. Stones close and tight together, but like I think I've talked about this extensively, that I just really do not like 2TC versus Pro Scouts. You could maybe justify it here as Order the Dragon if you quick wall in the deer, and then you like TC drop maybe like here or like on the gold and shove the deer in. It's tricky though. Also, if you just 2TC specifically against UG, they could just Yug all in you. Medigarden's going to be coming in here, so we are going to get the 36 food. It's going to be the 25 gold, and then if I had to punt a guess on it, I think that's 40 wood. Huh? Actually, 45 probably. So that ends up being a pretty lofty, what, 106 resource. Insane how good medis can be. So simple to find on a map like King of the Hill as well. It's not like it's a rare spawn to get this, right? So Arcanin on the other side is going to be on the tree line, and the stone is in range. So there's possibility for this 2TC. In fact, if I remember correctly, when we last saw Dumu in this matchup, I believe it was against Wham's brother, and he did face off against a 2TC Order of the Dragon. So it might be happening again. In fact, that, if you guys have not seen that on the YouTube side, that is insane. That series began with an all-in, where he keep drops into Puppy Paw's base and builds siege to try and end the game. Crazy one and definitely worth revisiting. I think the stone's barely in range because it's bugged. That's true, actually. No, I think it's in range on the corner, though, right? You just might have to have a staggered mining camp, but you should be good. Love the shove-in from Wham as well. The classic. The thing that the Canadians were kind of renowned for, like, people really started laming on the deer hard because these two always forced it every game. And nicely enough, like, he's got the cliffside to kind of give him this nice shove funnel anyway. It almost guarantees an easy push in. So that's also going to remove one of the stacks for Pro Scouts. We can see Pro Scouts already coming in now from Dimmu. So, second TC, would he ever dare to drop it here? I kind of like the idea of a TC in this choke point here, and you shove these deer in as well. Because if you're quick enough about that, Dimmu can't get anything. Like, I'm a little bit surprised, actually, that Dimmu didn't use his scout to kill deer earlier. Maybe he didn't expect the 2TC build, which is weird considering he's been up against it before. And it's not like he's immediately out of sheep either, right? He's still got 8 to work with. Wait, can we just get the deer in, please? I legit think you just TC drop here and get both deer. Like, the berries don't matter. It's not like Pro Scouts can drag berry bushes. We haven't evolved the game like that yet. Quick math. Specific math is double berry is going to be 3,000 food, and then you get 2,450 from the deer, right? So 5,450 food. Add in a second deer stack. So you're talking about, ends up being 4,900. So you end up with 7,900 food. Jazz hands. Actually, is it more? Yeah, it's more, right? Because there's an 8 stack of berry, which is worth 2,000 food. It's a lot. So second TC in the choke can make it really annoying to try and yoink deer away. Only thing that might be annoying for Wham is like the vision in that area, right? 4-2, that's true. We can't forget the extra 2,200 on top of that. And the wall is already coming in here, so Wham may not get a quick deer shove in, but the cool thing is actually with OTD, you do build quicker, like a mini China in that regard. So you should be able to get the walls up fairly swiftly. It might be 1 or 2 deer taken away. Dimmu is already making the greedy mistake of running for the deer near the center. And we'll not be able to get it. I kind of like what he's doing, though. I don't know if this was actually about getting the deer as much as it was about scouting Wham's base. It's so underrated, and I get disappointed how often I see people lose games because they just focus on Pro Scouts. Like, you need to know what your opponent's doing, right? And one of the biggest cardinal sins of Pro Scouts play right now is that people stop looking, right? They become autonomous about their game. They see the deer, and they're like, right, I don't need to know anything else. That's why we were saying quite meaningfully the other day, like, this could be Dragavan's meta, the guy who likes doing proxy bases, because if you realize where the deer are, and you just build a base where the deer aren't, you can ambush your opponents with proxy. And by the way, that was 53 wood in the end. Good lord. He did skimp on the berries with that, though, so it ends up being What, 108? 108 resources is still pretty damn good. Horseman now coming in from Wham. Yeah, he needs a blocker because we can see Dimmu is going fast castle. Now, will it be the Mount Luke? Nah, it has to be Shalom, right? Because your paranoia is that even on 2CC, dragons will try to play for relics or regnants. So Shalom Monastery is going to be coming in. These are great fighters up against the horsemen as well. Remember, gilded horsemen do hit like a truck, but Shalom monks, through some natural organic flow of the body, do that kind of thing you see in a movie in slow-mo where the guy essentially absorbs your kinetic energy and then repulses it towards you. I'm trying to make a logic as to why a bald man with a stick beats the crap out of everyone. The only other option I've got for you is Jackie Chan's uncle yelling Jackie at him every single episode. So take your pick. But I don't think that one fits because that guy actually has hair. Check up in. It's going to be a dive coming out. Not really one you can commit to. And Rax is getting added in, so we are going to get the Palace Guard Flood. Actually, you know what? I really wish we could have sound pack mods. I really wish there's like a different format of modding where it's not just you need it on everyone's game. Because I would 100% install a mod pack that was Shalom monks muttering, "I'm one with the Force and the Force is one with me" in fights. That would... Yeah, I'd be on board with that. That's what's missing, I think. Sadness for Dimmu as he realizes he's not getting that much value out of pro scouts in this game. But here's the funny thing, guys. Not that much value still equals almost 5,000 food. So it actually is worth it. It's just, compared to what it costs you, right? Like, you're getting a return on investment of like 6 to 8 instead of, 12 to 16. That... Like, when you say the numbers like that, it's kind of stupid either way, right? Because, like, you add free scouts in, that's going to be 210 resources. Stables going to be another 150, that's 360. Pro scouts is 350. So you're at 700, 710 resource investment. What's it done here? Wham's just basically going to buy more time on this wall, but also one spearman can stab through now. That one spearman is actually running all the way around right now. Dimmu already up to 3 with the Shalom monks, and we have got Burgrave. Golf clappers from Wham. Guys, this might look like a stupid throw. It is not. This is the play. All of the dragon players have been innovating, and they've discovered that Regnants can very often lose you a game, unless you played Feudal. Rushing Castle Age with this Civ is weird, because they do not have an ability to be out on the map quickly, and their units take way too long to produce to do so once they reach Castle. Order of the Dragon is not HRE. They are different Civs. And that's why Burgrave tends to feel a lot better for these very loose builds. And what I mean by that is you don't have much military. It's going to allow him to now blow to try and contest Dimmu. Yeah, kind of interesting that Dimmu went spears. This is at least going to be nice against Gilded Knights, which with your opponent having stables is a possibility. But we already see the Landsknecht. Oh, this is dirty. Dimmu, he needs a switch up into Zhu, but it won't be obvious to him. So remember, this is very cost efficient as well. Like, Landsknecht are very insanely expensive at 320 resources. But you build them out of this, costs you only just over 200 resources, courtesy of that discount. I'll have to back away now that he does see the Landsknecht coming. I actually think that Wham may have revealed that too soon. It would have probably been better to use the Spearman to defend and not reveal the Lansk. Because now that Dimmu knows, he can try to contest you. So we should be seeing archery ranges being dropped next. Already has one ready. You could go for Zhuk. Could just as easily go crossbows. We already have the Mount Lu Academy coming in. 3 relics already home. And I believe... Is he just... Yeah, he's just standing here with the others. Alright, so we are going to get mass pagodaing going. And that's going to offset Wham's eco situation entirely. Good lord. And I just think Dimmu is built diff when it comes to Juju. Not only is he incredibly good at playing them, he's also incredibly entertained to watch playing them. I think actually at this point he might be my favorite player to watch playing Juju. I don't know if maybe the bias comes from that last game where he pretty much was showing all the units to his son. But he has a way with this one. bringing all those goodies home. We already see the pagodas getting added in. Oh, this is just going to get ridiculous. Like, remember, by default, you get 80 resources out of a relic. Instead, by doing this, you get 62 food, wood, 100 gold, and 25 stone. It's nuts. With Military Academy, Burgrave gives you land nectars every 15 seconds. It's pretty good. It's very good. The only weird thing I find about land, like the Burgrave in general, is a lot of the options feel weird the longer the age goes on. Like, it's almost an extreme of what Burgrave does to you, if you know what I mean. Because, like, when you go deeper into Castle Age, you start thinking about crossbows being your bread and butter. And then when you go into Imperial, you start thinking about hand cannoneers. I almost feel like Burgrave deserves the ability to choose the type of unit it would produce. But I'd save that change for when Order of the Dragon starts doing Regnants more. Because I think Burgrave is now taking over at the highest level. I see a lot more Burgraves these days than I see Regnants. Second TC from Dimmu as well. Now remember, he can go back for the Song Dynasty to get the granaries cheap. So I kind of like that he didn't rush it here. It's much better to just keep Yuan for the discount because, yeah, you save a little bit of wood on the TC, but that's all you save, right? Better to just stockpile up to like 50 army, getting that 15% discount. I always forget. I think it's 10 actually. And then afterwards, when you like, okay, I've ran out of food, I need to go granaries, that's when Song is your bread and butter. Yeah, it's kind of funny that, like, Yuan being 10% discount doesn't sound that substantial, but, like, remember, you're always doing this for pagodas anyway. That's what it's really about. Homie is marching up here. Wham knows he needs to take a fight. It's just difficult, right? Like, you don't have much of a front line. You can get carried out quite easily by the mass crossbows here. In fact, with only 3 Lance Nectar, it's very difficult for Wham to turn around here. He's going to try, but this trickle into melee means that the Lance aren't as impactful. Crossbows aren't targeting them down in a rush, though. That one shot of Monk drawing all the attention, so he wraps around the backside, catches the reinforcements. Gilded Archers are going to target fire down here. They've got the ranged arm to get the good trades. They don't have a front line to stay here. Wham. The problem he's got right now is he's got a lot of men-at-arms coming, but they're not quick to arrive. Defender's advantage, right? Dimmu now starting to gradually gather stone. I'm wondering if we're going to see him just posture for a keep drop in the center. Military Academy is on the way, so Wham is just raw mass men-at-armsing with Gilded Archers. Dimmu kind of feels like maybe he'd benefit more from having Lancers here, but I don't think he has the food for that. Right? The deer are gone. He needs to either go farms or move out for the boar. Instead, just going to mass Palace Guard. You talked about Palace Guard in this matchup. It's weird. It's also weirder because he hasn't even vetted them yet, right? He's taking the fight prematurely. The reason it's weird to build, like, Palace Guard here against Gilded Archers is because the base damage is higher, right? So you can see, you know, he's got 4 armor up against 9 damage, right? And that's going to be the balance of things, right? It's like by base, it's 3 versus 8. It's a really good penetration, actually, for Gilded Archers. And these things are Gatling guns, remember? So I think the most important thing for Wham now is just get enough frontline. Like, what you want in these fights is that your archers can stand still. Because if they can stand still, the way I always define these guys, I say miniguns, and I'm not being meanful. They remind me of miniguns because it feels like the longer they're standing still attacking, the better they are. It's like when a minigun is using an FPS and you hold the left mouse button down. At first, it doesn't really do anything, and then it starts to whir up, right? And all of a sudden, it's... That's the effect you get. Like, where other range units like to start step, these are best left just standing still. Sacred Sight now locked in for Wham. Dimmu has had a very big slowdown here. I think he might just have to go into granaries. Yeah, well, not granaries. He's going to go for the baby mills. We do, however, have Mass Nester Beast. Now, that is interesting into Gilded Archers. In fairness, Gilded Archers can kill siege reasonably, but it's not an insta-kill. Like, the only upside I see here is, like, this is not Clocktown Nester Beast, right? So, like, this does have some potential to it for Wham. But if he's relying on melee to kill this siege, like, good luck, right? Like, you don't have enough to brute force the fight. And we have a keep drop. Dimu trying to brute force the center of the map here. Needs the gold, right? Like, long term, definitely worth playing up into there. And the stone as well. Still shocked he never got back for that song. Keep drop coming. I mean, Wham can't allow this. It's going to remove his win condition on Sacred Site. I'm not sure how confident you feel if this game goes Imperial v Imperial. Like, Jushi's a weird one where it just... I do think they spiral very nicely into the later ages. Movement speed coming in Pim. The extra range coming in on Gunpowder and Imp. The possibility for premium cavalry in Imperial Age. There's just a lot of upsides for them. I think this is going to be good enough to get them there, so... Decap's going to be coming through. Extra Monk has been queued up, so Dimu is going to look to not just take this away, but take it for himself. Oh, wow, now just trying to rotate. The wood line is going to buy some time to react to reinforcement, so don't really expect that to do much for him. Other awkward part for Wham now is, like, if this does go Imperial Age, it has to be Elsbach, right? And that would have been great if you had a timer ticking to 5 minutes and you were Elsbaching the center. But we're not going to see an Elsbach on the Sacred Side, I don't think. And that's bad, right? Because, like, the reason why you want to go Elsbach here, guys, is he's at 81 economy. By the time he goes Swabi, he'd already be about close to 100 villages. It's just not worth it. Does need to decap the Sacred Site, though. Dimu? Maybe he feels like he's on the clock here, which kind of makes sense. We have got Wham adding in Horsemen. Wham, who's already at 22 farms. Like he's targeting the houses as well. Just try to keep your opponent locked on whatever he's building. But this is a bit of a mistake. I mean, he's finally going to go back for the decap. We do have another keep coming, so Dimu's going to drop it right in this perfect little corner here. Is that a right angle? Might be the wrong angle. He's going to go deeper. Okay, that's kind of sick, but with mass horsemen on the way, you need to be quick. 17 villages should be capable of that. That's kind of dirty. I can't believe that. He's starving Wham out of gold. Yeah, Dimu needs to get spears, though. Spears or Pal Scar to make this make sense. Wall deletion coming through. Dimu. Let's just have to rush this one up. Nestabee's going for the trade with the back line. Good hits there, but he needs to get behind the crossbows. He needs a second reload. The horsemen are not going to let it be, though. Castle goes up. We'll be able to garrison his side. But the Nestabees are not getting the shots on the back line here. Gilded Archers are going to survive. The army is going to get wiped, and Dimu doesn't have a grand scale of farms behind this himself. And the keep is not going to last long. He needs to target down the horsemen realistically, but I mean, the problem is, like, you can't kill the Gilded Archers easily. They have 6 ranged armor. Love the Saint's Blessing as well. Inspired Warriors, rather. Fantastic tech here. That +1 armor, +1 damage doing a lot. Wow, I'm now able to get that chase down. Villagers, no hope of getting out of here. So Dimu is now going to be 15 villagers lighter in a game where he never started the timer. Sacred Site is not ticking down for Ben. In Houston, we now have a problem. Dimu realizes the issue. And I get why he didn't do this, right? He needed spearmen to protect his army, but until the Gilded Archers are removed, he can't. I think realistically, Dimu's perspective on it should have been, I have Nestabees, so spears are okay. Changed everything about this game if that was the case, right? The horseman wouldn't have got that type of dive off. Or at least he would have wiped the Gilded Archers in return. So instead, Dimu now has to rebuild from scratch. And the numbers tell no lie here. 92 in bio. Half that, of course, but even when it's half that count, it's still double what Dimu has in entities. Dimu only has, what, 20 farms? 25. I'm struggling to believe, even with 5 relics. Nice stone walls up, so we'll at least protect him there. We'll lose the meditation garden for it. So Wham gets a little bit of chip value. Reads to recap here. Can't do so until the castle's gone. And we do actually have regional inspection on the way, which is interesting given Dimu's level of food. If he's thinking mass siege, this will give him a ridiculous push-out rate, right? With the knobs. I think it's every 10 seconds at that point. Yeah, 16 seconds to produce an Nestabees. But he hasn't re-supervised, so it should be lower than that. And guys, what did we say was the nightmare moment against OTD? If they have to build the elves back at home? Okay, but you know what the dream is? You know, like founding of a nation levels of dreams is building the elves back on the sacred site. Oh no. And not just that, outposts already laid for cannon emplacements. I think this game may be over. I mean, it's a 10-minute timer. But you really have to just start looking at this and being realistic. Like, what does Dumu actually have going for him? Other than, you know, his immaculate shiny head that we talked about before. He can get a lot of siege. However, with all this gold access, I think Wham should just rush adjustable crossbars. Adjustable crossbars is your win condition now. First mango already in the way for that reason. All right, ones if you think Dumu's going to win this, twos if you think Wham's going to take it. I think the issue is that Dumu needs Imperial too. Right, you can't just rush out with a big castle army here. Trebs are already beating into him as well. More keeps can be dropped here by Wham. Is it a little bit more defensive? Yeah, because I know it would have been range. He could have done that side. Not sure. I guess like Wham's just like, screw it, I can afford extra anyway. Dumu actually wrapping around. I mean, there's no landmark victory to be had here. Not with the elves back in the center now. And Wham's only 2 TC, guys. Remember, he done it very early, hence why he's incredibly healthy on economy. Is a TC in the middle worth the emergency repairs? Honestly, at this stage, I think you could probably just daisy chain some Raxes on the way there, or archery ranges. Probably just more cost efficient. But yeah, you can go for a TC. Oh man, he's looking for a flood into the farms. So Dumu ran all the way around, just to run all the way back. Alright, here comes his Hail Mary. So, why is Dumu prioritizing Imperial Age? He can't win with Bio. This is all about siege now. So he's blobbing Nest of Ease intentionally. He's going to get the extra +1 range with Divine Defense from this landmark. And then he's going to look for the fight that'll either break him or win the game. It's a low percentile success rate strat, but it's really all he has. Using Bio and AoE4 is really funny to me. I mean, but like it kind of fits when you consider like it's a. I know it's a StarCraft term, but it kind of fits because you have mech and then you have Bio, right? Like you say organic, but that's just longer. You need a term that fits it, because like, you know, you could say siege, but then what do you say for like not siege? Non-siege? Infantry? Yeah, but that doesn't, like, if he adds horsemen, then it's not infantry. What did I play in SC if I played at all? I mainly played custom games. I wasn't crazy about the 1v1. Terran of the 3, though. I like to earn my victories, unlike those filthy Protoss pickers. Manpower? Still longer than Bio. Why do all the Brits play Terran? I mean, you're talking about an intergalactic civilization of humans that colonized many, many worlds. Could you like to imagine what word in that fits very well for British people? It might be the colonize. That would be my guess anyway. You can see how badly Dumu doesn't want to have to take that high ground. SBs need to be protected here. Should be able to. What's he been doing with this? Yeah, he has got Undivined Haste here. So, Dumu, I guess he just wants to kill the economy first and then come back. He's going to be pushing in. Wolves shouldn't last very long. Wham does have a bit of a predicament here. He does not have adjustable crossbars. He does not have mass mangoes. He doesn't have a break-in either. Those villagers just keep repairing the walls. The Trebs aren't really getting through this quick enough for him. Close to. More villagers are being pulled, though. As Dimi miscalculated. I think he might just be about to repair enough. Give me a little bit snug here, though. Shots coming in. It's not good enough. The wall breaks. The horsemen need to go to the farms. Need to go to the need to stand around wondering what they do next. Wall break coming the other way. So slow with Nesta Bees. These things are pathetic. He's in though. Breakthrough complete. Keep drop was already placed by Wham. Had plenty of time to work with here. I think it's just a rotation to cut off at the center. It's just kind of weird though, right? Like if you do this, if you just jam yourself in the middle, makes sense if you've got troops coming the other side, but this is pretty much doing his entire army diving into the back. Goes to the houses. SBs do need to be protected, but Divine Haste is going to allow him to do that. Wham, reluctant to step up here, but he's going to be forced to. Hospice and Spears are going to be able to chase this away, and the Nesta Bees are now starting to hit those farms. This game is getting weird. How has he found himself here? Of all the places in this game, so deep behind enemy lines with siege. He's trying to cut off the food, but the reality is Wham has 16 men-at-arms queued up. So he can afford to lose an army and just replace it like that. Now, Dumu has built the same type of runway here. We do have Trebs moving up, so you're seeing the bait and switch, right? He's trying to force a reaction at home that allows him to break the keeps in the center. It's difficult to do, though, right? With only 3 minutes on the clock. I don't think this is quick enough. The Elsback, with its damage reduction of 33%, I think it's going to make this take just too long. Ring the bell here. Adjustable crossbars just got queued up, so Wham is switching into mech himself, and Dumu, he didn't really force the reaction he was looking for. You can already see that Wham was aware in the neighborhood, and now with a pull. Horseman wrapping around, archers to follow this up, mass spearmen trying to defend it. Castle will complete for Dumu, but the siege is the bigger problem. They have to run home. Time is not on his side. Wham now just hurling away villages at this stage. Not bad for him, right? With the amount of production he's got in queue, losing villages actually isn't a bad thing for him here. An ambitious attempt, but I think the problem is unless Dumu can wipe Wham's army, it doesn't matter that he's stopping reinforcements. Yeah, and we talked about the fact you can't force a landmark victory either. That's the real tricky crux of it. As long as that Elsback stands, you don't have a way. It is blocking any type of win condition for Dumu. Less than 2 minutes. I think we've reached our conclusion here. AFKing basically wins this game for Wham. Barracks is now being built up as Dumu just needs to get a Zerg going. 2 bombards is going to add in a lot of damage, but you need to body spears in now. Army is reacting on the back again. Now, it is mainly just Nesta Bees left over. The bio has been cleared. But it's mostly ranged here from Wham. Yeah, his melee's been held in reserve, and here they come. It's crunch time. Horsemen, men-at-arms, given free access. Archers will skirt away. The knobs are dead. The castles are not. And it means we are going to be evening up here. Zhu just looked so good at a point in this game. Wasn't able to close. Credit to Order the Dragon here as well. Wham, just showing how strong the Civ can be, but also, most importantly, the denial on the deer is really what made this so convincing with the 2 TC. Had this been 3, let alone 4 deer packs for Zhu, I think we're looking at a very different outcome. Tick-tock goes the clock. Another keep is about to drop. But Wham has basically got about the same amount of military as Dumu here. Horsemen ride round the back. Bombard to be targeted. It's a crumble of a keep, but the Elsbach still stands. And the outcome is all too undeniable. With a weird but wonderful dragon pick, Wham will prove to be king of this hill. This is the back-to-back German picks, yeah? Welcome to Lakeside. HRE after an Order of the Dragon pick. We've gone from F tier to S tier. Wham! Whipping out one of the strongest options he had for game number 3 in this best of 5. Dimu. Reliably leaning on the Japanese. Always a solid pick whenever there's water involved in the map. Interesting matchup here. I wonder how Wham wants to take this. I've seen a few matchups where actually mine work looks pretty good. I wouldn't be surprised if we have a feudal all-in. I think playing into fast castle kind of favors Japan, right? The mountain samurai are just better. Whereas if you bloat spearmen and something extra in the feudal age, you hit pretty damn hard here. You gambled everything on Wham. But where will your children live if we lose the house? So it's big believers. I mean, HRE is usually a solid pick. I'm trying to think what the best performing civs are in this week's games. So top performers, I'm actually checking it. Jeanne has 100% win rate, as does Ottomans. OP. Well, Ottomans did. They lost the game finally. But Jeanne is the only one with 100% win rate. 2 wins. China, 80% with 8 wins, 2 losses. I mean, it's China, dude. Like, China's best performing. HRE is 44% with 4 wins and 5 losses. The worst performing before today's game was Order of the Dragon with 2 losses, no wins. And also, Wham just made English even worse after losing early in the series with them, because they are currently sitting now at, I believe that is 2 wins and 7 losses. Yes. Turns out English not so good in the Pro Scouts meta. So Dimu with the fishing already has been mirrored by the HRE as expected here. Obviously, this is the thing. When people go fishing, it's going to be slightly slower ramp timing. Curious to see whether we get Coca Township. This is one of those matchups where Coca can be a little bit weirder because the marching drills means you can't necessarily reach the counter units, i.e. spears. But if he is worried about feudal all-in, I think Dimu's probably going to feel like he needs Coca to protect him. That being said, of the players that would go Kura no matter what, Dimu ranks probably the highest. I've seen this guy on Lakeside do Kura Storehouse, which for anyone who's ever watched, not Lakeside, sorry, Four Lakes. For anyone who's ever watched Four Lakes, they'll know how weird it is to do Kura with Shinobi being an option instead. What was the sheep pool like as well? 16, 12. Okay, so actually pretty good. The spawn is actually really good for Wham, by the way. He did grief himself a little. I almost feel like you want to have the arc in here to buff the gold and both tree lines. He probably won't, though. I think there might be room for the Archon just beyond the house. The alternative is you build it this far out, but you're never going to build an Archon far away from your TC, right? It's just begging for death. And I just realized I hit the insert key. Whoops. There we go. People were excited. They're like, blue and red. Yeah, sadly, insert doesn't work with Capture Age still. I really wish it did. And there you have it. It is Dimu with Crystal House. Arkin coming in. Oh, he did actually have a little bit of wiggle room there. Yeah, I thought there was maybe a tree overlap, but has got Arkin coming. 9 building this up, so will be a quick attack timing for him than the Japanese. But Japan's real goal here should be fast castle. So the way that I think Dimu should play this is you don't want to play sea. Right? You've got 4 fishing boats, get a decent amount of food, you'll get idled up eventually. But the cool thing is you can always add in the naval arrow slits to protect you passively. You just want to get castle as quickly as possible. In fact, now with 8 villages, it feels almost guaranteed. We might end up seeing like some eco tech along the way, right? Like you could actually play onto the berries with Tawara plus Takazaiku, which would probably give you the quickest unlock time. Like it's actually, I think, a bit more efficient to go Tawara Takazaiku than just go sheep. It depends on whether you think you can stay on the berries though. And in that regard, the spawn might make him feel like he can't. So, wood being gathered. I'm expecting a Rax opening here. Especially if he's scouted the Kura, but it doesn't look like he has. No, instead it's going to be the boat first. Interesting. So we might get a 1-2 punch here. You can open Archer Ship, and then if Dimu doesn't react, you turn it into a land. This feels very aggressive, though. Wham is going double dock. And in fairness, might work out because Dimmu is actually adding in the junk. Is this like a demo follow-up, though? Because this is a lot of gold from Dimmu. How do you guys vote in the end, by the way? I've got a feeling... Yeah, so it ended up being 72% for the Germans, yeah? Honestly, not too surprising. What happens if you manually put farms around the Kura storehouse? You basically you scam yourself. It doesn't give you like a rebate or anything. You get to wood gen quicker, that's it. Love the placement, by the way. Dimmu saved 50 wood by dropping it here. Remember, this is a universal drop-off building. I'm still waiting for the variant build where people want to do 2cc. So they drop a Kura storehouse on a tree line with a stone outcropping in range. Save yourself another 50. Not a bad deal, actually. Still no land at all. Okay, so Wham is definitely going to be winning water here, right? The question now is how much effort it takes. That's the tricky predicament. Arrow slits, rather, is already in the way. I want to call them Avel slits. Naval slits? So the naval arrow slit's going to be a problem here, right? It's going to slow down the takeover for Wham. And it's going to force him back temporarily. Archer ship is trying to trade out here. Fishing boats are just doing a good job of making him tank through this. It does mean that he's idle in economy, but it's buying enough time to scare him away. The fishing boats can't carry this fight. Needs to be very careful with the villager. I'm a little bit surprised Dimmu's actually keeping that out here. But yeah, he should... That should be home. Dimmu? Oh, no. Okay, so a free villager kill that probably shouldn't have been happening for Wham. Fishing boats are now not working, but remember what we talked about. For Dimmu, it's just about how much time of yours can I waste on water. In some ways, you have to feel good. Like, Wham pulled 2 fishing boats. He went demo, triple springled, archer ship. Like, this is a very big investment, even for HRE. An HRE that just has nothing on land. He's now trying to pivot outposts. I think Wham may need to consider adding in Raxus as well. Floating gate is now on the way. So we've seen this play quite a few times on this map. Feigned water presence into fast tech. We've even seen a version for the French from Dragavan where you go 2TC. It's not a bad strategy overall. Like, what is your opponent really gaining here? He's gaining 1 deep water fish. Eventually, he might be able to take the other. So what players start to realize is, oh, actually, like, over-investing in water isn't worth it because castle's more important. The counterplay we've started to see come out more recently is transport ship. So Wham can justify the investment he just made, there we go, by building a transport ship and going across to build a dock here. That then gives him double deep water fish. Tech up complete. We do have Tawara on the way. And it's a Yorishiro drop into the forge. Huh? Sorry. Nani? Why do we have forge drop? No production bonus at all. I think Dimmu is trying to wait to see what Wham is doing. And it's Burgrave. Okay, this is wacky. If he scouts this, he can't see it though. It's behind the TC. This is the obnoxious thing. Like, circulating the TC is impossible if the walls are up, but he gets in beforehand. This is very, very important because if Dimmu sees what he's up against here, he can go into mass samurai, which will be HRE men at arms, right? Odachi tech plus an extra melee tech level gives you the edge. The Katana Bannerman guarantees it. And there it is. He gets eyeballs on, so he knows about the Burgrave. He's going to begin with Onimusha, but this is fine. It allows you to kite and kill men at arms. Now, if your opponent instead then goes mass spears, the follow-up samurai play wins. This game just got very interesting. It's been a while, actually, since I've seen mass samurai. Actually, I say that. Funnily enough, recently we did have a Japanese game on this map where it was mass samurai. I believe that might have been Numedan versus Dimmu, I want to say. Here's the racks. The wall's going to go up. Dimmu is stuck back here looking at things. Relic Ray should be on for Dimmu. Dimmu is very important. He gets these back because it's like the big leg up you get from Yorishiro. Not as important for Wham because although relics are nice, he hasn't got Rignets. But because your opponent wants them, it's like a double denial, right? You get some, they don't get something. But Onimusha are already here, so that means the Prelate's going to have to run away. Good read. Scout did get that early info, so he will pull the Prelate back before losing it. Really important as well, because that was the Arkan Chapel Prelate, which means Wham just lost his land buff. Yeah, he had 27 villagers being buffed up, now none. Kind of a noteworthy gap, actually, at this stage, especially with the transitions coming. It looks like Wham is waiting, isn't revealing what unit he's doing yet. He wants to actually see what Dumu is up to. He's seen the Onimusha, but doesn't seem convinced. And oh, this is a Dumu classic. This guy believed in the Onobagusha ways long before many, I think. Like, Dumu, I always loved watching Japanese Dumu at release, because watching him play Japanese, you were watching someone just have fun, you know what I mean? Like, his Onobagusha obsession, it was just clearly a unit he found very enjoyable. And I relate, man. I think Onobagusha are one of the funnest units to play with in the game. Very difficult to do at an early phase, even with the Kura Storehouse, though. In fairness, to do it at all, you do need Kura, though. This is a bait and switch. Check it. He's got 2 Bagisha. He's paused. So he wants to bait Men-at-Arms, I think. There's no way Wham gets 3 relics, right? Wham's going to get 3 relics. No, he's not. No, what are you on about? Yeah, we got one over here. He would have had to have snatched this away, and he didn't bring a prelate. So this is going to be a 3-2 split in favor of Dumu. Experiment placement is already in. This is going to make diving very difficult. And I think the play here is 2TC. Yeah, Dumu's already gathering the stone. I like this. The thing about Lakeside that has me not too crazy, and I think it's really a big part of why I removed it for next week. It's very defensive. Very, very defensive. Like, you can have a huge edge, but then leveraging that edge is difficult. Now, the thing that at least balances it out is double Sacred Sight forces your opponent to be present sooner rather than later. Problem that I've always had with Sacred Sight win conditions is 10 minutes is a very long time in a lot of games. Especially if you, in return, got fish for 9 minutes of that clock, right? Yay, it's the thing that every Japanese player dreads. I find this funny because like earlier we had Wham and Poppy Paw watching the first series, like neither of them has built crossbow. What a crap unit. Very clearly sarcastic. But this is the thing that I think is stopping Japan from even having a hope of playing longer games and looking like a good civ. Crossbows, they can't build them. We're in a crossbow meta. There's no denying it. For the time being, Onimusha is at least going to be nice, but as Wham scales more and more crossbows, Dumu's comp is going to look a little bit sad. And there we go. Poppy Paw on the sideline. I had to come and say it. So this is where you really want to try and find your way into like maybe Mass Onobagisha plus Onimusha. Or as I like to call it, all my single ladies. Which is ironic because Ona means married. So actually not single ladies. He has at least scouted the second TC. And this makes me wonder is why I'm going to try to just pressure. Oh, wait. Oh, no. I mean, he can recover this, right? It's close enough to home. If you're quick as Dumu, if you have, yeah, Shinto's on the way, possibly you can make this happen. But the crossbow count's already becoming problematic. It's 5. Gets the space. Prelate should be on the way now. He's not, though. No, there's no way he gets snatched here. I mean, the outpost doesn't have an emplacement. Guys, is he about to lose the relic? Oh, he can't get it. The prelate can't get it. Are you freaking kidding me right now? Don't mind if I do. You know what, guys? Raspberry cheesecake is delicious, but raspberry cheesecake that you wanted to eat, 10 times more tasty. He gets it away. Dumu is going to make this a 4-relic game. Damn necessary as well. We talk about things that can make you compete with HRE. They're all gold heavy, right? Onobagisha, Onimusha, Samurai, later on in the game, Siege. What a yoink from Dimmu. And he'll get it all the way home by the looks of it. I mean, you are seeing Wham chasing, but you can't rush out here. There's just too many Onimusha still. Crossbow count is at least still looking good. And the Onimusha are going to start dying, but I mean, if it gets the relic home, worthwhile for Dimmu. Especially considering the eco lead is now building. 50 to 56. Kabutoya as well. Onobagisha are starting to scale. Like, this is problematic. Wham! Wait, is he really going Imperial? With 7 minutes on the clock, this is pretty dangerous, no? You're not going to L's back, because that just isn't going to happen. Right? Like, you can't run out and just blindly drop a keep. So this has to be Pulse of Swabia. That means he's going to have, what, a 3-minute window before this really becomes a problem. And his army isn't very big. His farm count isn't insane. He's sitting at, what, 16 farms right now. I mean, on a classic water map where you have 8 deep water fish stacks, I could see the play that Wham's going for here. So this feels very, very greedy. There you go. Pounce of Swab is coming in. Wham does have the 4k gold, but guys, that's the other thing that's greedy about this. He only has 4k gold. Right? He has one relic, which is a weird one for you. Still hasn't been picked up. And that's it. And as much as we like to see Japanese as a gold-heavy civ, it's not like HRE isn't as well. Right? Landsknecht, the men-at-arms, crossbows, siege, like all these things. He's going to try to play budget tier, which is spears, but that's bad against Bigisha. Like, right now, if Wham takes this line of crossbows and spears, everything he's building gets countered by these ladies here. Japan can't build keeps in castle. You know what you can do, though, Johan? You can build a landmark that's a keep. Which, funnily enough, if you build here... you probably build it here, right? If you put it here, you get maximum value out of the coastal trade post. Now, I know that Dimmu really likes his ball boys, but I think in this game, if you want to win on Sacred Site, the play is 100% Castle the Crow. 5 minutes left on the clock. Tech up complete. There's no real transition, right? It is still going to just be raw infantry. Onimusha, nice snipe. Well, they have quite high base damage, so they're not terrible at doing this. He might even just try to pressure water again on a delay. That's cool, because now Wham's probably paranoid that he's getting back on the pond, so might force him to invest in pointless boats. And we do have outposts being rushed over here, so he's going to block the food that Wham's relying on. Okay, this is bloody crafty what Ben is doing. Like, Wham has at least got a farm transition going, so he's gradually getting to a good spot, but it's taking time. And Ben's going to go for the old schooler. Tanegashima Gunsmith coming, so no castle drop. He would need to rush stone Rapido here if he wanted to get a drop after this. Remember, it's not cheap for the Japanese. It's 300 wood and 900 stone. So blocker on the fishing now. It's tricky, right? Because, like, you don't think you're in range, but it's the deception of the cliff. So won't be able to gather on the fish there anymore. We do have a carrot coming. Why? Okay, I was about to say, like, there's no reason. All you need to do is kind of, like, camp. You build a carrot if you see your opponent goes back on the water. Otherwise, like, at this stage, you can't afford to do land and sea. Well, you might not be able to get a keep. You can at least get some spoon replacements. Outpost coming up. That's tricky, actually, for Wham, considering that he doesn't have very tanky units, right? Most of his army is ranged, and ranged will just get slaughtered by sprint replacements. Dimmu. He's immediately into the board, boys. Zutsu on the way. Interesting, considering, actually, hand cannoniers would feel a bit better here. But I think for Dimmu, the logic is if he can't win on Sacred Site, Azutsu lets him break the base. Hand cannoniers doesn't. We do have Landsknecht now being laid in by Wham. This is a one-hit wonder moment. Like, if you swing and this is a miss, you're dead. Because Wham, adding in Landsknecht, thinking about the cost of elite techs here, he has no gold. Like, he has 1.5k gold left over. And he hasn't even picked up this relic. Three minutes until the Sacred Site victory. This is the time. Wham. We talked about a lack of ability to wait here. What's arrived? Onabugisha already elited up, ready to yeet Wham out of game number 3. And we have Yumi Bannerman on the way. It's going to be hand cannon Ashigaru. My favorite unit in the game. Do you guys know why? Because out of all the people to record lines for AoE 4, this guy was having the most fun. Onimusha poking here. Wham. Blind punting through the stealth forest. Those are elite Onimusha as well. I just don't see the way, man. I don't know how you're meant to decap this. Wham's reluctance to play age 3 may have just cost him game 3. 2 minutes to go. Dimmu looking to flex. The sea is overrated. Fish are not necessary. You only need a can of tuna. You don't need the entire school of fish. Credit to him as well. I think Kura Storehouse really made this possible. Very different game if he had Coca. Wouldn't have had those extra farms to get him through that uncomfortable mid game. But now that he's there, it's undeniable. Keep drop coming in here. One that Wham surely has to contest, but one that could easily just cost him the game. He sees it. And he will weep. Dimmu posturing for the fight here. Azutsu will benefit from these choke points. Villagers being pulled, additional ones. He's going to get it up, whether he likes it or lumps it. And Wham, I just don't think he's got what it takes to break through here. It's just too much quality already out of Dimmu. He will find himself on match point ahead of the Canadian. Benny Boy on the rise in 2025. Let's find out if he can close it out in 4.